Welcome everyone to the 5th day of the Blockchain Bootcamp and Workforce Expo being held at Capital Technology University in Laurel, Maryland. We know that there are those that are here at the university as well as those that are watching live stream, so we would like to welcome everyone. As you might remember from the past few days, I want to make sure that you understand that all content over this week is being recorded and will be shared in an ebook distributed within the next 2 weeks. So definitely make sure, if you're watching this, that you have connected with the Maryland Blockchain Association or Blockchain Legal Institute and have signed up for either our newsletter or become a member, so that way we have access to your email to be able to share. The information in the ebook will also be shared on my socials, and so that way you'll also have access to it. So within all of the days that you've seen the content, we've also announced certain initiatives. And I'm just going to remind you about these initiatives because they are extremely important for the growth of our community. One of them is an initiative that the Digital Asset Regulatory Authority announced, and it's a global initiative to eliminate the statute of limitations for victims of digital asset crime. The reason why we want to have this go live around every country and every state is that victims of digital asset crime, when they realize that their wallet might have been hacked, then they are timed with how much time it takes for them to possibly file a lawsuit or to realize how do they reclaim their funds and how do they access it. So having a deadline of a statute of limitations 3 or 5 years, it might seem like a long time, but when you're in this space, it's not. So that's one of the global initiatives. That information is actually on DAR's website, so you can read more about it. Another global initiative that we are starting, and we already have it on DAR as well, is we are launching an e-process server, so that way there's a way that whenever there is a lawsuit, you're actually able to you can serve the individual who actually committed the crime through their wallet. So again, that information is also online. But today, I want to also thank one of the sponsors that came forward, and because they are doing some wonderful things. The Blockchain for Good Alliance is really looking at projects around the world that are doing social impact projects for good. And we have John here who is representing many parts of the ecosystem, and we want to welcome you to stage so that way you can share more about what you're doing, what ABF is doing, what the Alliance is doing, and I know that your topic is dealing with AI, and again, that is a hot topic these days. So if you'd like to come here, we'll have, or if you'd like to walk around, it's your choice. But definitely give a little bit of background about yourself, so those that are watching live stream will know a little bit more about how you came to this space, because it's all about career development, and each one of us have taken a different, unique path.
Awesome. Thank you. Can I grab this and walk around?
Yeah, for sure.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for being here. So I'm John. I'm with ABFinance. We are a new company looking to launch here in Q3. These are some of our beautiful graphics here. We're coming out with our application, aiming for end of August and early September. Jackie, as far as like going to the next slide, this guy. Beautiful, thank you. Amazing. Wow. Okay, so a little bit about me. My name is John Lonizek. I work at ABFinance. I'm a security engineer with ABFinance. I've been in crypto now for about 5 years. Initially, I got into the blockchain and crypto space through smart contract auditing. So looking for any vulnerabilities in smart contract bugs and through bug bounties and vulnerabilities. And so with that, I worked at Fireblocks, which is a custody institution. So we do institutional custody assets. Plenty of institutions went through Fireblocks. From there, learned a lot about niche chains other than Bitcoin and Ethereum obviously being the most prominent. We have Solana, Algorand. TON is another kind of niche chain, which we saw traded throughout Fireblocks. And then after that, I worked at a company called Almanax. It was an AI security vulnerability scanner. So right now, in kind of the ecosystem and a lot of AI world, things are moving very fast. And what's really popular, at least in the bug bounty and vulnerability world, is AI scanning, right? So everybody can use Claude Code or Codex, and a lot of companies now have built kind of their infrastructure around different AI models to scan code for what Jackie mentioned, right? Like we see a lot of hacks every day, and it can happen in a wallet, it can happen in a smart contract, but more recently we're seeing it through the supply chain. So for example, if you were a company trading any sort of crypto asset, you're going to have an entire infrastructure set up, and so the supply chain can go all the way up upstream, downstream through dependencies, or anywhere there's a possible vulnerability is where hackers can get in. And so then more recently, I was really fortunate enough to join ABFinance. It's going to be a new centralized exchange launching in the US, and we're very excited about it. So kind of similarly with what I just talked about, right? Traditional banking is kind of evolving and it's moving very fast. I'm sure we all know that crypto is like a decentralized focus, and then banking is kind of this traditional finance background. And so now we're seeing, at least in the last like 5-10 years, a really new emergence of like a symbiotic relationship between these two fields. And so, yeah, so this is what our app is going to look like, right? So when you think of ABFinance, maybe I can compare it to some of our competitors, right? You think of Coinbase, Binance. We are coming off of Bybit, so we have a strong relationship with Bybit, which is one of the top 5, centralized exchanges in terms of volume. If you pull up, if you're familiar with DeFi Llama, which has all like data aggregates. So Bybit is one of the top exchanges. They're based in China, and so they're one of our strong partners. And so we're coming into the US. And yeah, so this is kind of, we're going to be able to trade on an app. Again, obviously with crypto, you want to be able to do that anywhere. So this is kind of what our layout's going to look like. Let's see. So I mentioned Bybit just now, right? One of the lead centralized exchanges in China. But then as far as if the question were, how do you tie traditional finance with crypto? This is kind of our combination here. This is our relationship. Bybit is again the number 2 crypto exchange, and then Anchorage here, based in the U.S. They're our OCC regulated bank. They're our charter, and so we work really closely with them to basically custody our funds, and then we have our Bybit trading system to run the whole product. So we're very excited to work with Anchorage. I don't know if anybody's familiar with like banking, and especially on the custody crypto side, but you have companies like Anchorage and Fireblocks, which I previously mentioned, who are kind of your banking traditional holders in the US. Kind of a messed up slide, but that's okay here. But so maybe one of the reasons, what's the question that we would use Anchorage? Again, they're going to be OCC regulated, so they're insured. So basically, as I mentioned earlier, right, hacks are happening all the time. A wallet gets hacked. Ideally, we don't have that in a custody situation. But if it were to happen, it would all be insured. So users would be paid back in full. If you're familiar with the Bybit hack, maybe about 2 years ago, right? This is the largest hack in all of crypto, about $1.5 billion. Like a really very complicated hack. A lot of these hacks now, maybe really briefly, right? Maybe like 10 years ago, it would require a very smart engineering team to come up with what's known as like a POC, is like a proof of concept, in order to come up with the vulnerability or malware right before you send it out. And now it can take anyone, it can take one single person with AI usage to really kind of side sweep and get into anyone's system. And so anyway, Bybit was 1.5 billion. So now that was based on blind signing, which is anytime you send an Ethereum transaction, right, you see a lot of the hex data. And the UI was spoofed. So like, let's say I send someone a transaction and I come in onto my web page, everything looks okay, but in the back end, it's sending to a different address. So that was kind of blind signing, and now Ethereum Foundation has actually been working to solve that now. So you can see any transaction will have like human readable code. Instead of a hex transaction, it will show like, hey, I am sending Alice 1 Ethereum from John with 10 USD or whatever it is. Let's see. Careers and workforce. Yeah, so in terms of, right, this is an evolving space. Obviously, we've all seen like AI just in the last year with machine learning and their benchmarks. Benchmarks are basically how good these AI models are, how well they perform. They've really shot up. They've really improved, right from like GPT-4 maybe 2 years ago to now we're at GPT 5.6. And the scale of these models and their ability to code, and again, like I said, do hacks as well, if you have these abilities, has really skyrocketed. And so what does that mean in terms of careers and how people are going to use AI? Because I think from my perspective, it's going to be integrated in most jobs, right? So maybe we can talk about some of the workforce and how it's going to come up for future education and schools, because I think most everybody will interact with it now. Let's see here. How do we go to the next guy? Yeah, so maybe I can talk about some of these fields, right? I mentioned machine learning, prompt engineering, cybersecurity. Maybe I'll give you more background about my background and like cybersecurity and kind of how I see it evolving. Like I mentioned, right, the speed at which everything is happening has skyrocketed. So where it's known as a 0-day, which is basically an exploit that has been discovered in the wild. And again, years ago, it used to take maybe a year or so for these exploits to happen, and now they're down to like 1 minute. There's some really good talks from the lead security researcher at Anthropic. I suggest you can look online. I forgot his name right now. But in terms of other careers, again, I'm cybersecurity focused, but I've seen some marketing, business developers, right? We're all kind of plugging into some sort of AI to use to generate the images or decks. And so I think from my perspective, if you're willing to learn and you're willing to grow because the field is so fast, I think that's going to be your largest edge in terms of career, right? You can focus on your area, but if you're willing to learn and constantly learn, I think that's really going to be the best approach. I think for me, day to day, I realized my entire job now is just learning, right? We know about Bitcoin, we know about Ethereum, but everybody's going to basically fork those chains. You're going to see new chains. You're going to go, what is this? And I think the curiosity really helps you go like, what does this mean? Where does this chain go? Is this a smart contract call right here? How do I trade this? Where is this? Because the more you inform yourself, the more you also protect yourself, right? Because you'll have that knowledge of what's happening here, and hopefully you won't get hacked because you've explored different options, right? I don't know, we've all traded with MetaMask. I don't know if you've explored different wallets with like Phantom and Rabby and Trust. And now if you understand trading on a UI browser wallet like that, you kind of have the understanding of what custody does at scale. So basically what ABFinance and, like I mentioned, these other companies like Anchorage, we basically do what your MetaMask wallet does at scale with everybody. So there's custody wallets and there's non-custody wallets. So we are a custody holder and we protect your wallet and your digital assets that way. Yeah, I think another unique industry will be healthcare systems, right? That'll be kind of evolving as well. I'm not sure how necessarily they'll plug in with AI, but again, I think broadly to cover this whole field on emerging disciplines, protecting your data is really important. So that's kind of what our goal too is with ABFinance, right? Again, as a custody holder, you want to protect user data, you want to protect their assets. That's kind of the key, and that's kind of why we have these new relationships from Bybit and Anchorage as kind of a symbiotic relationship to protect their assets. Let's see here. I'll keep moving on. Wow. What else can I talk about here? ABFinance, so we're launching, again, like I mentioned, in September, and I'll kind of conclude here with this. A lot of our assets are growing, and in order to protect those assets, we need to make sure they're secure, they're audited, they've gone through certain procedural safety checks and security checks, because again, at the end of the day, we want to make sure that every user that goes through ABFinance is feeling safe, secure, and wants to explore the ecosystem, right? So having a healthy curiosity safely, I think, is our primary focus. And so with that, we're launching, we have Ethereum, Solana, a lot of the ERC tokens you're going to be able to trade as well. Again, you're going to be able to do it all on your phone. Again, very similar to some of our competitors. You'll be able to stake as well. I think you'll be able to earn up to 4, maybe 5% back via staking. And so we're really excited to launch in this space. We're going to see a lot more as well. Maybe one more thing I'll conclude with that's also emerging. I think the future as far as wallets and AI, you'll see a lot of companies now releasing their own chain where you will give access to a wallet that will trade for you, right? So you'll say, hey, you'll have, like for me, example, John, I'll have my own John AI bot, and I'll say, hey, John's bot, you have $1,000 of spend. You can do USDC. You can trade however you want. These are some parameters, and then it can go make the trades for me, but I will have given that bot parameters, and maybe it'll exist on its own chain. So there's going to be an exciting field as far as new chains that emerge, right? Because we personally go on and we trade Bitcoin and we do Ethereum in our wallets. But now I think the next layer of that is going to be AI bots abstracting away your interaction. So you can just give it certain parameters that you want. It's going to be totally programmable. And so that field's going to be exciting. There will also be hacks with that, right? So if you let a bot, anytime you deal with AI, you're giving it certain permissions, because I don't want to say we're inherently lazy, but you say, like, giving up your security to give it to AI, you're saying, hey, you do this for me, right? You abstract this work. With that inherently comes certain risks, but with that also is a lot of opportunity to see how it trades for you. And so we're also at ABFinance looking to explore some of these ideas. I think that's it for me. I'll conclude there. And that's all I have for now. Thank you so much for coming. Appreciate your time. We'll let Jackie come up here. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So I have a question. So within this ecosystem, where do you see the biggest need for career development, both in the United States as well as around the world?
Thank you. That's a good question. I think it's going to be a blend, right? I think, like I mentioned earlier, I think it's going to be curious people who have an interest in tech, but you can really come in from any different field. You can be a designer, you can be a business developer, you can be a marketer, and like we mentioned, you can work in healthcare, so many different fields. But if you're willing to learn and grow and come at it with a curious attitude, I don't want to say, like, we can use AI. AI is a tool. It's not an end-all, be-all. So you have to have the background and experience. And if you can use that, just a tool to help you and grow, I think you can be anywhere in the world. I think you can really apply yourself. I mean, the internet, decentralization is meant to be global, so it's very exciting. You can be anywhere. You can be remote. You can be in a big city. You can be on the beach. But as long as you can apply yourself, I think that's really exciting.
So I know that many universities have classes, but some don't. Do you think that that every university needs to have this type of tech type of course, or do you think that because of all the different information that's online right now, that people can self-learn? And then the other part of that question is, if they are self-learning, how do they know that it's the quality that they need and that it's safe?
Amazing question. Thank you. A little bit of background for me, too, because I know what you guys are doing here is great. It's so exciting to hear these courses that you offer. I'm a full self-learner. I actually majored in English years ago, and I transitioned into crypto about 4 or 5 years ago. I was looking for courses online, YouTube. I took Patrick Collins, who's a known security auditor in the blockchain space. He's got I took he's got like a 30-hour YouTube course, which is kind of crazy, and like did it over a course of weeks. I also took, Harvard has their edX program, kind of like a Coursera. David Malin does an excellent job at CS50. So the resources are certainly out there, but they are limited because not every university, I think, is willing to dive into these like future and like just new career opportunities, but it is a fast moving space. So I think what you guys are doing is awesome. And because the resources are somewhat limited, the ones that are there are so valuable, especially if they're coming from a university like what you guys are doing and organizing everything into a singular place. It's very exciting. So it certainly helped me. I mean, you know, now I'm working with ABFinance, so I guess I would be a representative of kind of that story. So hopefully that answers your question.
It does, but there's I guess a part two. So I know a lot of times, I'm a career switcher, being both a lawyer and in education. We always develop our resume. And sometimes companies are looking for certain things. So do you have any guidance for those that might be self-learners in terms of how they represent what they've learned on the resume? Because another part of this challenge, and this is part of our goal within the Maryland Blockchain as well as Blockchain Legal Institute, is educating human resource managers on how do you hire people and how do you determine that what they say that they know is true because of the responsibility for the company who's going to be relying on them to do certain things. Any guidance both on the not overinflating the resume, but representing it, and then also for those that might be doing the hiring?
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of HR, I think, again, this is a common theme that I'm saying, the speed on which technology is moving is so rapid that I think HR teams should be more open to people switching mid-career now, right? Maybe you see something on their resume, which is like, okay, they've done this, but they're not necessarily applying with a huge background for the field that they're interested in. But if you see some of the things that they've done before that really represent them well, I think HR people should be a little bit more flexible. And that goes into the second part where there's so much opportunity now to build things with AI, right? Again, you have to have your own experience in AI as a tool, so it's not the end-all be-all, but you can build something relatively quick on your own. You can ask it questions, it can, you know, educate you, and then you can kind of point it in the right directions. So I think on a resume now, you can build your own projects relatively quickly, something that maybe just to show that you've experienced or dabbled in a field a little bit. It's like, so let's say you and I wanted to build like a Solana decentralized exchange, right? Maybe we have no idea how to do it. We gather some information. We can open up a repo. We can have AI like scaffold it. And then putting that on a resume, it doesn't have to be done. You know, I think what is the enemy of perfect is like not, you know, just do something until it's good enough and put it on a resume. It doesn't have to be great. Put it on there, show people that you've explored. And I'd rather see someone like, oh, I've messed with Solana. I failed here, as opposed to nothing at all. So I'd like to see people who've explored spaces and actually learning from their failures, I think is a huge opportunity too.
I know that with the internships that we do with the University of California, one of the things that, because we have cohorts every 10 weeks, one of the things that I try to ask the interns to do, because we have a Google form, it's a daily Google form, just to do a brain drop of everything that they're doing, because again, over the 10 weeks, you're not going to remember every little thing that you've actually touched or done. And so from the resume side, like you said, if someone is building something or experimenting, I think it's also important for those that are listening on the live stream and otherwise to think about where do you put your brain dump of the projects that you've listed or worked on. Even like you said, it may not be successful, but it will show the variety of tools that you've experimented with, and also your breadth of knowledge or where you are going because of your cross skills. So now on the ABFinance side, in the world of finance and investing and just looking at entrepreneurship, any guidance? Because again, the venture capital side, all those in that field too, that's a specialty area, especially when you're dealing with this innovative tech.
So any like advice?
To those that might be looking at trying to get into this, like analyzing analyzing what these companies are and that type of thing, what should they be looking for, or maybe what to watch out for?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, again, just being curious and start trading a little bit. If you're interested in centralized exchanges like ABFinance, like I mentioned, your MetaMask wallet and your like Phantom wallet, or any of these main kind of centralized exchanges have their own wallet. It's hard to say this without like telling people to risk money, but like put in $20 and like be willing to explore with that money. Like maybe have a little budget to like see what happens with that. This is again maybe me speaking personally. Like $20, like hopefully not too much, but willing to lose it a little bit, trade an ERC token, see what it does. Maybe you make a little money, but I think seeing what happens with it, move across chain, try like bridging, right? So we have Bitcoin. How do I get to Solana? I want to bridge. I'll go to a UI, again, maybe $5, $10, see what happens, see if they charge you fees. Why did they charge me a fee? And then, look it up, see what happens. That can give you at least some experience, and then maybe you can build something that you didn't like about it. Like, hey, this charged me a fee. Why? Maybe you can choose like some optimizer that like gets you the smallest fee anytime you trade. So I think maybe that kind of will hit at your cross scale point and really experience into like both crypto and traditional finance. So yeah, I don't know, hopefully like just try and explore.
No, I mean, all of these words, these vocabulary words need to be looked up. So again, want to thank you for being here. For those that are listening, we're going to start at 9:30 with our next speaker. We want to thank you for being here, and then definitely follow the live stream when it goes, when we're sharing it out. And have a good day, everyone. But don't leave. Yeah, 9:30 is the next workshop. And also for those that are here, we have 3 simultaneous rooms happening in room B and room C. We have the EndNote. Our EndNote today is the Premier of Bermuda. And he's been a speaker before for our Blockchain Legal Institute, so he'll be sharing information on what's going on in Bermuda and the trends within the world. So anyway, thank you, everyone.